Portuguese still wines and Douro still wines in particular are a relatively new phenomena in the market. It's no secret we've been making dry red wines here in the Douro ourselves for our own private consumption for years and years, as long as I can remember. I mean, we've always had our own red wine that sometimes would just be, a few barrels would be run off at the end and they'd be allowed to ferment out dry, and then some bottles would be filled and we'd just drink the stuff. So it's not as if it's any big secret about this region being able to make dry red wine. From a commercial point of view, in reality, this is something that has come about in the last sort of 10 to 12 years, where ourselves and a number of our colleagues have started to be quite serious about making red wines up here and in the Duro Valley. Same grape varietals that we use for port. We're not importing any of the ubiquitous Cabernets or whatever. We're using the true, what we feel is what we have here, which is some of the finest grapes in the world to make one of the greatest wines in the world, which is port. We're using the same grapes to make our table wines from here. And they are, so the classic one is the Touriga Nacional, and then we use the Tinta Roriz, Tinta Barroca, and Touriga Franca. And then we have three others in a supporting role, which is the Tintucão, Tinta Amarela, and the Sozão. So there's really 7 classic Portuguese varietals, one of which is across the whole of Iberia, Spain and Portugal, which is the Tinta Roriz, it's the Tempranillo from Spain, or the Tinta del País from the Ribera del Duero. Here in Portugal it's called the Roriz grape. And we have started making some really pretty serious high-end red wines. I mean, we have a commercial everyday wine which is called Altano. We have Vale de Bomfin, which is sort of one little step up.
I love.
Which is Jim's favorite. That's a wine, it's halfway between a regular wine and a reserve wine. We give it partly temperature-controlled fermentation in stainless steel, partly vinified in second-year wooden barrels, so it doesn't get given first-year new wood, second-year wood. Very subtle wood touch on it, so not to be too much. We've also, because of the characteristic of the varietals that we have here in the Douro, we have, they're quite tannic, they're very structured wines they're getting, and there's a lot of structured mineral coming from the soil, that rather than using 225 litre French barrique, which is classic in the wine industry, we use bigger barrels, 350 and 400 litre barrels, so that we have less, we're having a more subtle exposure to the wood.
Right.
So
the fruit on Vale de Bomfin is so vivid, just very, very rich, very deep fruit for what we price it at $15 a bottle, which is a very inexpensive bottle of wine these days.
I mean, if anything, the Douro is probably over-delivers on quality, and you're getting something with so much character and so much style in the wine that is I mean, there's true depth of flavour that you're getting in these wines. That they're not, easy quaffing. I apologise for being rude, but they're not easy quaffing New World wines. I mean, they're wines that you have to be a little bit more, you have to work just that little bit more to them. They are certainly, definitely food wines, but you can drink them, but you do have to be, you have to challenge yourself a little bit also with them.
Well, I find them, personally for me, I drink a lot of red wine, but I find them very easy to drink. A little rustic sometimes perhaps, but I would always rather have rusticity
That's character.
And character, yes, thank you very much. And I get the feeling that they're not excessively polished, and in that respect very authentic. They taste like the place from whence they came, which is very important to me for my wine.
Well, I think you've probably said what I should have said or wanted to say. Or
well, I'm here to help.
Say. Thank you. But I think that is why when we talked a moment ago about the varietals, I think it is absolutely critical that in this valley, in the Duro Valley, we have completely unknown to a lot of people in the rest of the world, virtually unpronounceable because they're all Portuguese words and nobody can say what they are. But we've got some unbelievable grape varietals here that produce some absolutely staggering wines.
And world-class vineyards. Absolutely strikingly beautiful, obviously world-class vineyards.
And it's people haven't heard of people don't know about Portugal. Maybe people think about Vinho Verde or Matus. Nothing wrong with them. Horses for courses. Those wines, I think they're great for their time and their place. But the wines like the Douro wines, the reds from here, and some of the whites, which aren't
Absolutely.
commercialized. I mean, they blew your socks off.
Oh, it was my favorite wine at lunch.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful.
And and hopefully that is what we can do to that these wines, they will become recognized in time as another great wine region. I mean, some people may say they're the best in the world. I think nothing is ever the best in the world. I think there's a lot of wines that are fantastic, made in different places, and there's different times for different wines.
Well, dollar for dollar, they're among the best in the world, no doubt.
There is fantastic value for money amongst them, that's for sure.
So on a different subject, you were good friends with the late Gil Nicol.
Yeah.
From Farniente and from Nicol, we carry a number of his wines. Every year we pick up a number of the single vineyard wines. Did you ever get a chance to drive one of his cars?
That's not fair. Yes, I did. And I was scared out of my life, because if I'd bust it, it would have been...
What were the circumstances that got you behind the wheel of it?
Well, we were there, and we were going to be having there's have to go off and buy some... We're going to have some Bloody Marys on a Sunday morning, because I think we'd probably deserved them after what we'd done to ourselves the day before. And, somebody had to go off and buy get the tomato juice. And so Gil said, here, gave me the keys, and the keys were to a Ferrari. And so I had to go down to the store and buy them. I've never driven a Ferrari. I've never driven a Ferrari before in my life, and I drove so slowly.
What year car was it?
I think it was the 60s sometime, early 60s car.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I mean, it was just the most beautiful thing that's ever happened.
And how did it sound?
Sex on wheels. I mean, just, give up sex, drive a Ferrari car. It was absolutely fantastic.
That's great.
One of the best experiences in my life.
Excellent. Well,
And we made good Bloody Marys as well.
Is that right?